Hi everybody, I'm Phil Fatika and welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. Got a lot of memories to discuss today that are current. And our guest is, and I think you know this individual, Melinda Meyer, and she is with Erie Yesterday. That is a cool organization to belong to, and you've been running it with it for some time. So my obvious first question is, what is Erie Yesterday?
What is Erie Yesterday? That's a great question. Yeah, and I'm so thankful to be here today, too.
Thanks for coming.
Erie Yesterday is a group of historical organizations. It's kind of like an umbrella organization for heritage organizations within Erie County.
Okay.
So it was created in 1981 with some support from the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission. And at the time, there were 6 or 7 different organizations whose leadership came together to really start this umbrella organization to help with communication.
Yeah, why'd they do that? Did they feel it was going away and nobody cared? Or go ahead, I'm sorry.
Quite the opposite, actually. So 1981 was shortly after the bicentennial. So anytime there's a major celebration of history, people begin to kind of connect again to their local history, and then there's usually a period where new organizations form out of that new connectedness to local history. And that's what was happening. So smaller organizations throughout the county were starting to form.
Is this true everywhere throughout the United States, that people are reaching back and saying, whoa, wait a minute, we're losing this. We really should have this, and let's put together something that's going to guarantee that our grandchildren's grandchildren will be having this. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is fair to say. Actually, you'd see that in most communities when there's any type of commemoration or really significant anniversary of an event or activity. You've got new organizations forming, new memorials being created, and you can even find this locally. You know,
we'll get to that memorial in just a moment. You said there's people who are within your organization. Did I get that correct? There's organizations within the broad umbrella of Erie Yesterday?
Yeah, that's right.
And you can identify those as?
Those are member organizations of Erie Yesterday. And so right now, we are close to 30 organizations that are part of Erie Yesterday.
And their names are?
All 30 of them?
No. No. In alphabetical order, too.
In alphabetical order. I could name a few.
Sure.
The Corey Area Historical Society, the Northeast Historical Society, Lawrence Park Historical Society, Firefighters Historical Museum. So these are, these are historical organizations that are, again, located throughout the county, but they come together to meet regularly through Erie Yesterday to do some collaborative projects.
And you're looking for people to belong to these projects, to belong to these organizations? I would assume that there's no money involved, but a lot of hard volunteer work?
That's exactly right. We are always looking for volunteers.
How do people contact you, How do they call, phone number, website, app, whatever you got?
Sure. So to get a hold of Erie Yesterday, the best way is actually through our website, which is www.erieyesterday.org.
Erie Yesterday, one word?
One word.
Okay.
Our email is erieyesterday@gmail.com.
Easy.
Easy.
What's your big project you got going on right now, or projects? Because I think you have projects going on.
Yeah, we have a number of projects going on, and what we, I should mention too, what we try to do, since it is a consortium, it's a group of organizations that come together, we really try to work on initiatives that will have the greatest impact throughout the county, right? And involve as many member organizations as possible. So one project that we just launched, I want to say in August, is a project that's in partnership with County Councilman Jay Brenneman.
And that would be the
Veteran and War Memorials Inventory.
Yeah, there's a lot of them everywhere, but nobody seems to know exactly where they are. So you've taken it upon yourself to identify these places and to mark them as places of concern. visiting? They are sites that people should be aware of?
Yeah, all of the above.
Yeah, all the above. Mm-hmm.
So what we, we could have approached this project a couple of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
What we decided to do was really call on the public to help complete the inventory project,
Great.
because even though we are an organization of history organizations, there are a lot of war and veteran memorials in Erie County.
If you go to 26th and State and you just look at that little triangle there, I think a lot of people may say, well, that's about it. But it's like, whoa, way beyond that. I mean, you're right. Can you name some places other than where they're right there, right? 26th and State, that triangle?
Yeah.
Off the top of your head?
Absolutely. One that I actually uncovered just because I was out in Union City enjoying the historical attributes of Union City. I went to the Evergreen Cemetery, which is right next to the Union City Area School District.
Okay.
And there, from the road that separates the cemetery from the school district, I saw this huge monument in the cemetery and wanted to know more about it. So I drove into the cemetery, and as I got closer, I found out that it was a Civil War monument. It was honoring Union officers or Union soldiers from the Union City area. Mm-hmm. And the monument is surrounded by the grave sites of some soldiers who lost their lives in the Civil War and were shipped back home, and some who survived the war and died 30, 40 years later as old men. But they all surround this monument as a circle. And that was just something that I stumbled across.
How are you going to get that information out to the public and say, you may not be aware, but in your own neighborhood is? You do that on your website, or do you have a fundraiser, or do you have a dedication at that site drawing attention to it?
Yeah, that's kind of to be determined. Right now we're in the process of collecting information, but what you've mentioned is exactly what we've talked about. So, we've talked about taking the results of this inventory, which includes photographs as well as personal stories of serving. Take all of this information and make it available through Erie Yesterday's website, as well as maybe the county's website. We're not sure. We've also talked about maybe doing some type of printed publication.
Sure. Yeah.
Or maybe at the very least a tour, a brochure.
Well, it has such a significance for the Civil War. I mean, this is a significant area here, and from behind that, even with the Washington slept here kind of thing in Fort LeBoeuf and Waterford, I would think that this would mark this place as a destination. I know that when I've been to the library and you go to the historical, the history section upstairs, or the ancestry section, where you can trace back who was your grandmother's grandmother's grandmother.
Sure, yeah.
People come from lots of different places to Erie because there's a connection here somewhere. And I think you're aiming toward that, saying Route 6, for example, is quite historic.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
And that's actually a different project
Yes,
we're
it
working
is.
on, right? Most recently, Erie Yesterday, working in collaboration with the PA Route 6 Alliance and several different historical societies, we received funding through Visit Erie and the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority for what's called the Route 6 History Tours. Cool. And these will be guide-by-cell tours.
Okay.
So when all is said and done, you'll be able to visit the 5 communities, the 5 downtowns that are located on or near Route 6 in Erie County, and follow a tour and listen by cell phone.
Oh, really? By cell phone?
By cell phone.
Well, you see on TV quite often, especially in Gettysburg comes to mind, where the ranger there conducts the tour. Have you ever thought of that, where you would have, make it profitable by, Route 6 is an historic road through this country.
Sure, yeah.
And you could be the guide.
Yeah. Well, I think right now, where we're at in the project, we want to get as many people through as possible.
Okay.
But we aren't charging at the moment. This Guide by Cell tour is going to be free for people to participate in.
Wow.
So the 5 downtowns that are along Route 6 in Erie County that will be part of the Guide by Cell tour are Corey, Edinburgh, Union City, Waterford, and Albion.
Okay.
And these are great downtowns with lots of history. And actually the different sections of the tour, for instance, the tour of downtown Albion, we have the Valley School Museum folks and the Elk Creek Township Historical Society folks that are pulling their heads together to put up or to create the tour for that particular downtown.
Did you think that you would end up doing this? Did you major in this? Have you always had an interest in this? Because I say this with kindness and with high compliments. People your age generally are not interested in that. It's a little bit older than you that say, come on, we can't lose this, you know? That coffee cup is going away, you know, but you've got a strong grip on it already. Your fascination's been with history and the preservation of it and the recognition of it. Have you been one of those people?
Yeah, no, I was one of those people from a very early age. So I think even as early as 10 or 11.
Which was only about 5 or 6 years ago.
Just 5 or 6 years ago, you know. I was, you know, reading history magazines and archaeology magazines, and so that actually came very easy to me, as I think most of the people that are involved in our local historical societies, many of them, they may have been teachers or journalists or engineers, you know, for their professional careers, but they've always had this interest in history and the community.
Hankering to do this, Has the internet changed that? I mean, the access to information is so readily available now, especially in public libraries like we have here in Erie County. You can go down and research anything. And I can't help but think that the cable television with the History Channel or the Smithsonian has sparked an interest in not just, I don't use this word kindly, older people, but there's younger people too saying, you know, I didn't understand that, you know, and I didn't realize that. Has that played a part in the revival of Erie Yesterday's organizations?
You know, that's a good question. Not all of our organizations, our member organizations, have fully embraced technology because, of course, there's a learning curve there. You know, today, you know, I think kids at the age of 4 or 5, they're using mobile devices, and it comes intuitively to them.
It's part of their DNA.
It is. So I think for some of our member organizations, kind of learning how there is a learning curve. They have to learn how to use this technology to get information out to the public. But you know, I think that it's wonderful that information is much more accessible. You know, now with having access to the Library of Congress, having access to, you know, military records through Ancestry.com, people are having an easier time finding access to their family histories, to information on their homes if they're buying historic homes. So I think it is helping. I think it's also opening a window for organizations to kind of solicit more information, more stories from the community itself, because how easy is it to share your story on Facebook? How, you know, through 1 or 2 posts, you can provide a quick history of your own family or your own home. You know, museums and historical organizations across the country are kind of looking at ways in which technology can be used to better engage the public.
Better engage the public,
So you no longer have to walk in the door, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm a...
To get heard.
Yeah, I'm a bodily kinesthetic person. To learn, I have to touch it.
Sure.
Okay, I know that because I took a cool test that said we all use multiple intelligences. I know that one of them is I was very interpersonal. I'm very comfortable speaking and those kinds of things. But I'm new to town, just came in town. I give you a call, got your website, checked you out. Now I want you to tell me what historic sites I should go to see, and I'm going to bring some of my relatives with me. So starting, I don't care, here or there, go to this one first or take them all in. You got about an hour and a half.
Okay, an hour and a half. To explain or for them to visit?
Both. Both.
You know what?
Top of your list. And not necessarily the best or the favorite, but just you just happen to think of this first. We don't want to discriminate.
Yeah, I was going to say all of our member organizations have something unique about them. You know, if you haven't been to the Grape Discovery Center in Westfield, New York.
I have been there. I raised my hand on that one. I have been there, and I want to tell you that it's cool. It's cool, right? Almost to Westfield, New York on Route 20. Yeah.
So okay. I know they're outside of Erie County, but they are a member.
Check that one out.
Yes.
Good samples there. Good samples.
And as you're coming in then back to Erie County and you stop in Northeast, in addition to you know, stopping maybe quickly at the Northeast Historical Society, I would also recommend a stop to the Lakeshore Railway Museum.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They have been incredibly active the last decade in. They have deaccessioned some locomotives that did not pertain to maybe the geographic region that they represent, but they have also gotten new locomotives in, and it's just a fun. Those guys are great. It's a fun time.
Oh yes.
They will spend as much time as you're willing to give them.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a very active organization. I interviewed a gentleman here not too long ago that's All Aboard Erie.
Oh, sure.
And trying to increase and understand how valuable train travel can be. Obviously, we know it commercially,
right,
but also people love to ride on a train. Yeah. Take a train from A to B. Yeah, and find it extremely romantic, comfortable, endearing, and just it's just a good place. Okay, so we've been to two places, some more places. Some more places.
Let's see. The Hornby School Museum out on Station Road. This is a one-room schoolhouse. And one-room schoolhouse.
Whoa. Where's that located in Station Road? Is there a marker there identifying it?
I tell you what, it's just before you get to a blinky light.
Well, that narrows it down. I'll Google that one.
Yeah,
put it in the GPS. Blinky light, Station Road.
I think it's somewhere around 10,000 Station Road.
Okay, all right.
But if you hit Colt Station,
you've gone too far. Okay.
But they too are incredibly active. They received some funding from the Ronald McDonald Foundation.
Really?
And in the back of their one-room schoolhouse, they have a pavilion now. So they do lots of tours with kids. Their tour guides actually dress as school marms, so they look like they're teachers, right? And students can pump water at the well. They can learn how to write with a quill and ink. They can sit in the corner with the dunce hat on.
Jeez.
It's a fun experience.
It would be. A little bit of how we've expanded in not that much time to where people no longer have to go to a bricks and mortar school to learn anymore. You know, you can do it online. Any other places? I love what you're telling me so far.
You know, if you head out to Waterford, there's the Fort LeBoeuf Historical Society, and they have they've just expanded their campus. Okay. So the Judson House Museum, which is at First and High Streets out in Waterford. That used to be owned by the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission. So too did the Fort LeBoeuf Museum right next to it. Just over the last year, the state of Pennsylvania transferred the deeds to those properties over to the Fort LeBoeuf Historical Society.
Yeah, they said you can run it better than we can.
Yeah.
I think that was the bottom line there.
Yeah.
You guys know what you're doing. You're good. Now, that was somewhat on the outlying areas, which is good. You know.
Yeah,
Is there anything like within the city limits or anything closer to inside the city that you recommend I take my relatives and tour?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Within the city, if you've got kids, definitely visit the Children's Museum, the Experience Children's Museum. They have a new outdoor classroom that is just a blast. If you venture over to the brand new campus of the Erie County Historical Society, now known as the Historical Society of Erie County, you can visit
What's the Watson Curtsey Mansion?
Exactly.
At 6th and Chestnut.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which is newly restored.
Yeah.
1891, newly restored. You know, the Erie Maritime Museum and the Brig Niagara are a must. The Firefighters Historical Museum. This is another organization where if you have 30 minutes or if you have 2 hours, they will be able to fill it. And they will keep you entertained and learning the whole time you're there.
I'm going to put a plug-in in Millcreek Township. I'm going to put a plug-in for Asbury Woods,
yes.
which services all of Erie County and the importance of the history of the environmental movement. And in fact, we're taping this. The Pope is around, and he's made comments about we're not doing a good job taking care of our home.
Oh.
And the Asbury Woods is kind of a reminder that this is all part of all of us. And it works well with the downtown Erie Children's Museum, too.
Sure.
Yeah. What about the place on Holland? No. That used to be the Underground Railroad site down there, 2nd or 3rd.
Rumored to be Underground Railroad.
Yeah,
yes.
you're right, rumored.
That's the Dixon Tavern.
Dixon Tavern, thank you.
You know, in 1963, that building became the Perry Memorial Museum, and it was owned and operated by the city of Erie, and they relied on volunteers. Today, the building is owned by Kidder Wachter Architects.
Architects, okay.
And it's their office.
Okay.
You know, their staff, I think, is probably accustomed to people walking in.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Can
saying,
I take a tour? Yeah.
And they're welcoming.
Sure.
They're very welcoming.
Let me just go backwards a little bit. I liked what you said about the museum, the Maritime Museum, and the brig. If you've never done the brig and they're in town and they're going out, go on board. And it's a living, breathing thing, the ship, and it's just something that you want to experience. And if they're not in town and you can't go at that time, then what you need to do is go to the museum, because it is phenomenally fantastic.
It is.
There's a dollar figure associated with it, but it's minimal. It's really minimal. Have you ever gone out on the brig?
I have.
Yeah. Did they let you hold the tiller? Did you climb up and unfurl the sails?
No, I did not. I would love that, though.
Oh, you
that would
sure?
be fantastic.
Ooh, that's a long way up off the water there, you know.
No, but they do allow you to help with the rigging and the ropes.
Yes, they do. So that's an idea. You're looking for something to do next sailing season. Find out when they're going, and can you volunteer to work? And it could be. It's not a 3-hour cruise. It's a tough thing. Again, we are talking to Melinda Meyer today. She's from Erie Yesterday, and it's all part of the heritage of who we were, who we are, and who we think we want to become by making sure that this doesn't go away. Fair enough to say that?
Fair enough, yeah.
Okay. You're not going away from your job, are you? You like doing this?
No, yeah. I think once it's in your blood, I think it stays.
Yeah, it kind of caught fire here, like you said. Seems to be the movements that are bringing it back into a perspective. And I noticed that many times if you subscribe to the Erie Times News, there will be a then and a now picture. Then and now kind of look the same some places, but not in all places. Just pick your brain here the last couple minutes we have left. Other cities are doing this. Bigger cities, smaller cities, can you name some examples of where like people would like to travel and say, you really want to go see so-and-so because they did a good job of what we're doing here too? You want to kind of like say, boy, that's really fascinating. Not the usual tourist trap.
Not the usual tourist trap. Okay, well, and it can be outside of Erie County.
Any city, take me to the Pacific Ocean.
Okay. Wow, this is a really difficult question. I think something that's close by that maybe not a lot of people have visited yet is the Heinz History Center in Pittsburgh.
Sure.
They have done just an amazing job transforming an old industrial complex into a state-of-the-art history facility. And their exhibits are constantly changing. Not that long ago, I was visiting the Heinz History Center to see their Civil War 150 exhibit, and they did a great job representing not just Pittsburgh in the Civil War, but really all of Western Pennsylvania. Do you know that I even found mention of Strong Vincent in their exhibit?
Did you really? You know, he was an important figure. There's no doubt about that. Modern history, I'm just going to put a plug in. Go down to the Erie County Public Library on the Bayfront, and you'll see the exhibit of one of the pillars, one of the steel pillars from the 911, which people will years from now go, wow, oh my gosh, this is really important that they did this. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're not letting anything go away. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And thank you for joining us. I'm Phil Fatica. Until next time, you take care.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.